r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. What's something obvious for everyone, but you only just realized? I recently discovered that honey isn't spicy. My husband was buying a bottle of hot honey, and I made some comment about the ridiculous marketing, since all honey is already spicy. Turns out I'm just allergic. For the longest time, I always thought prima donna was prima donna. I didn't know my mom had a name until in first grade the teacher asked us what our mother's name was. Everyone answered but me. I never realized my mom had a name. I questioned my entire existence. I went to her straight after school. She was cooking in the kitchen. I asked her, "Mama, what's your name?" She smiled, stopped cooking, and came down to my height and told me her name. It was a sweet memory, but man, I felt shame that I didn't know that sooner. I didn't realize until a couple of years ago, it's pitch black, as in pitch, aka tar. So I'm not a native speaker, which might make this somewhat excusable. But for the longest time, I thought sitcoms were named that because the main characters spend most of their time sitting in a living room, in a bar. Even most native speakers don't realize that it's a combination of situational comedy. I used to think it meant sit down comedy because the laughing in the background came from people sitting in the audience enjoying the comedy. That big ships we like got to turn as a kid was not actually controlling the cruise ship. I visited Rome with my mom as I was 6 or 7. We were staying in a line to go to the toilet in Colosseum, and she suddenly pointed to a crack in the wall and said that there is something there. I checked it out, and it was a Roman coin. Of course I thought that it was real and kept it, and told everyone I knew about it. I realized that my mom just staged it all only 10 years later. Still amazing memories though. A few years back, I realized that the Christmas song, "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus," wasn't actually about the mother being unfaithful and putting out for Saint Nick, but it was just the dad dressed as Santa. For almost my entire life, I thought the mom just got around. I was 26 when I realized otherwise. Eminem. M&M. Marshall Mathers. I only learned recently that revenge is a dish best served cold means you should take your revenge at a much later time when your opponent won't be expecting it. That you can click, "Don't accept any cookies," and websites work just fine. I always thought that would also disable essential cookies, so would either accept all or go through the motions of only allowing essential ones. I was 30 before I found out that the lights doing that stretchy thing at night wasn't normal. I have astigmatism. I was in my late 40s when I found this out. I always think of them looking more like this kind of shape than stretchy. I had no idea that they move the holes on a golf course. I'm 32 years old. I always thought the concept of golf was mega boring anyway, but playing the same course over and over again. Who would even bother? No one would. Which is why they move the holes. For me, it wasn't until recently that I found out I'm allergic to cucumbers. I used to think the numbness they caused in my mouth was normal, similar to how peanuts affect me. It turns out, I'm also allergic to peanuts, which I only learned about recently too. For a while, I even confused astigmatism as astigmatism. So I assumed that a person could also have two stigmatisms. This was a long time ago, but the first time I got my eyes checked, I was in first or second grade or something. The optometrist told my mom I'm almost completely blind in one eye. She looks at me and asks why I wouldn't say anything. I said I thought everyone only had one working eye. I was like 12 when I realized that you are supposed to close your eyes to fall asleep faster. Before that, I just stared at the ceiling and waited till I fell asleep. That stripper pole spin. I always wondered how they spun so fast without burning their skin. Horns, the musical instrument, are called horns because they used to be made from horns, animal horns. In interviews, when they say, "Tell me about yourself," they mean as it pertains to work. Not generally about yourself. And thank goodness. I don't want to tell them about myself. That you can take as many bananas as you want. I always assumed I had to take however many were connected together. I've had so many bananas go bad on me, lol. Banks have height measurements at doors in case they get robbed and can tell how tall the robber is. Didn't know that's what it was for until recently. Lots of convenience stores too. There is no dairy in Chinese food. I guess it's not that obvious, but my mom just had the revelation that Vermont is French for green mountains. That the D in the Disney logo is actually a D and not a fancy G like I always thought. Antihistamines aren't for any specific allergy, like only for pollen or hay fever. It's blocking your body's histamines. There was a Reddit comment years ago I wish I would have saved. OP was like 8-year-old and saw her dad pump gas and asked what the numbers were, 87, 89 and 93. Dad said it was the year the gas was made. Newer gas is more expensive. Done deal. That answer worked. Years later OP was like 19, riding in her boyfriend's car and offered to get out and pump gas for him and ask, "What year gas do you use?" "What?" She explained more and he was in tears laughing. Embarrassing now that I think about it, but that bears actually wake up to eat when they hibernate instead of sleeping for months straight. A quart is a quarter of a gallon. This sounds ridiculous, but I just realized you can actually just toast one slice of bread. I thought it always had to be 2 slices. I realized in high school that raisins are dehydrated grapes. I didn't know they're uncircumcised penises until I was around 11. Did you learn when you saw one in the wild and were like, "What the F is up with this dude?" Yeah, a locker room. All the actors in The Wizard of Oz are the farm workers. I only realized a few years ago that the reason Nike stores are painted blue and yellow was because those are the colors of the Swedish flag. I'm 53 years old, have a master's degree, and was a contestant on Jeopardy! Mental health is as important as physical health, and it's okay to seek help. I'm learning so many things today. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.